This week's episode is brought to you by Blue Harvest Vintage. Are you a collector? Blue Harvest love to help you find that missing piece you need to complete your collection. They have extensive stock of vintage Star Wars vehicles and mint-on-card action figures, as well as new The Force Awakens and Black Series items. Blue Harvest have Funko Pops, Lego, Dinky, Corgi, Matchbox and more. Everything a collector could possibly need. If they don't stock it, then let them know, and their knowledgeable staff will be only too pleased to help. Reach out to Blue Harvest on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, Facebook, Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, a website, blueharvestvintage.co.uk, or email at blueharvesttoys@gmail.com.
Talk Star Wars is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Follow at SW Commonwealth on Twitter and take your first steps into a larger world. This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast at talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I'm Stephen.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Paul.
And I'm being distracted by the chat already, which is not a good start. Episode 57. We've already been recording for 45 minutes. It has scrambled my brain a tad.
We've done 57 episodes in 45 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like every one of those episodes.
It feels like in the last 5 minutes.
Mark, you know that even though it records in increments, you can join them together, right? I did explain this to you.
yeah. It's called editing.
Yeah. It's just
something tells me that's what I'm going to be doing all night. A quick reminder that our sponsors, Blue Harvest Vintage, are offering a 10% discount on all orders when you tell them we sent you. So if you head to facebook.com/Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, or you follow them on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, tell them that Talk Star Wars referred you and you will save yourself some money. Right, guys, let's get into some news. This is the first piece of bad news, really, for Star Wars this year. We've lost somebody. We've lost Richard Portman, who was a sound engineer on not only Star Wars, but The Godfather and The Deer Hunter.
He's prolific.
And he is just, that's a body of work in and of itself, isn't it?
For sure, yeah.
And he's an 11-time Oscar nominee, and he's
That's incredible.
just passed away at 82.
Did
Sorry?
you ever win?
I don't think so.
Because there's quite some CV, isn't
Yeah,
That is
it
incredible
really is.
CV regardless, isn't it? But, let's have a look while you're...
Yeah, his family put out the announcement just a couple of days ago.
Oh, yeah, he was an
Just,
Oscar. He did win an Oscar as well. Let's have a look.
What
Did
film?
he?
He won for The Deer Hunter, and he was nominated another 10 times.
Wow.
So he was nominated 11 times, but only one of them won. So I suppose they kind of concatenated together because 11-time nominee sounds better than one-time winner.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah.
I guess that's the logic. I don't really know.
Well, that is one hell of a body of work, and what
I'll
a
leave damage
nice,
control to Mark.
what a nice age. What a nice age to
Yeah,
go
82
at.
is a good,
Richard Portman,
Rest in peace, sir.
rest in peace, sir. You will be missed. Okay, let's get to some of the bits of business around the network this week. So we picked up a whole bunch of YouTube subscribers this week. Again, I'm plagued by that thing where I can't see half the names. But Super Adam Starr, AJ Films, and Dan Jacobs, you all subscribed to the channel, so thank you very much this week. I don't know why suddenly the YouTube channel has taken a bit of a jump. I'm not sure what's leading people there, but I'm glad that they are arriving. So thank you. We didn't get any reviews this week, Rob, unless you've had anything come in at the last minute.
I literally just have. Yeah, I'm just sending it over now.
Oh,
Do you want
have
me
you
to
really?
read it? Do you want me to just read it out?
Yeah, go for it. And then if you
Yeah.
can send it to me, and I'll stick it in the show notes that I publish.
I want the Chris Walken policy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you Chris Walken it, or is it too technical?
It's quite long, but I'll do my best. Oh no, it's not technical in the slightest. It is just long. So I will do my best. All right, let me just save a copy so that I can send it over to you later, Mark.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I would have done an innuendo then, but I'm drawing a picture of us pushing the button
All right.
to go on the Twitter feed.
Okay. Right. Am I ready? Okay. So this is from Fuzzball1234 from Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Laugh it up.
I know I could have said no. It's got a message saying you could have said no to the Chris Walken, but no, the fans will only demand it otherwise, and they'll want something, and they'll write something longer next time. So the title is I'll just read the title as myself, and I'll do the rest as there you go. A show worthy of 6 stars, but they only allow 5.
Oh,
Well,
that's nice.
The chaps of the Talk Star Wars podcast know their stuff. They're gradually becoming the go-to podcast for all your insatiable Star Wars needs. Knowledge amazes me. They must have seen the movies at least twice, maybe thrice. Who has that much time? Anyway, if you like Star Wars more than your mother-in-law, give these guys a listen and become educated in what some Californian petrolhead thinks space is all about. May the force be with you and keep up the good work. So that was from Matt Keegan, our good mate from Australia, one of our VIPs, and possibly my favorite. In fact, I haven't spoken to Steve or Paul about this yet, but I'm going to ask Matt to accompany me to celebrations, all paid for by the other VIPs. Rob and I spoke about this yesterday, but we have a problem. Matt can't enter the United States because of reasons I can't go into while we're recording. So Ads has agreed to obtain some forged documents from one of his clients. Rob said he would be happy to undergo a crash course in plastic surgery to help Matt not be recognized at the border because the Tumbling Saber guys will help smuggle him across the line. It's too risky flying directly to the States, and apparently Corey has done a fair bit of clandestine back and forth and said it will be literally a piece of cake. Drink,
yeah.
So we meet Matt in Barcelona, Rob carries out the John Woo face-off, then we jump to Canada for the Slippery Jimmy. That's what Corey calls it. Across the border in the Trumpistan. Are we all in agreement?
Trumpistan.
Yeah.
How long is this?
And scene.
Well done. Well done, sir, for an ad hoc read.
Awful walking.
I love that bloke off Police Academy as well. He's brilliant.
Thanks, Matt.
That was not my best walking, but yeah, that was excellent.
Oh, that's good.
Well done, both you and Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Mate. Good man. Well done, Rob. Extemporaneous read award.
I did my best.
All right, so it has Matt taken advantage of the Ron Burgundy policy and some other substance that we probably shouldn't ask him about. So if you want to take advantage of the same thing, then you write whatever you like and we will read it, as long as it's attached to a 5-star review.
More like that, though, because that was awesome.
Yeah. And we won't make Rob do every single one.
We know how lovely we are now.
It'll be a different bloody impression every time. I know.
Yeah, request your impressions. That's the update that's come into
no. Yeah, all right, fine.
You better start.
We'll even if we can't, we'll learn
fine.
them in the week, and then we have to do them regardless of how good we are.
That's fine. Let's do that.
Next week's George Takai.
Oh my!
Careful what you wish for,
because you might get him. Okay, listener comms. You can send us your questions and comments via Twitter, Facebook, or send us an email at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. And now you can send us your voicemails quick and easy. Just fire us those over as MP3s. And we've got one of those to kick things off with this evening from our good friend Rob Williams over at Generation X-Wing. Before we get started, actually, we've got to congratulate the guys at Gen X for 100 episodes. What a fantastic episode that was.
I haven't got there yet, but I've heard nothing but good things.
It's great. It's really funny. And it's making me want to, I don't know where I'll find this time, but it's making me want to go back to episode 1 and catch up so that I'm familiar with everyone that appeared on that episode, because they were all great.
My podcast backlog is so large that that's not even a fantasy for me anymore. I'll go back and listen from the beginning. Unless it's a brand new show, that's not happening.
Well, it is.
Are you taking us out on our 100 mark as a gift? Like, are you taking us to Disneyland or something?
I'll take you out.
He's going to do a quiz.
I'll take you out, but now I'm making a pistol shape with my finger and thumb.
Okay, I'm scared.
You should be.
Here's Rob's voicemail for this week.
Hey, Talk Star Wars. Hey, everybody. How you doing? It's Rob Williams from the Generation X-Wing podcast. Comment for you guys, or a question, however you want to approach it. You guys were talking about overseas numbers and how maybe it's a little bit surprising that China did not do as much as you thought it would. But I want to add something to that. A friend of ours, Matt Bro, came onto the show many moons ago. He does a lot of teaching in China. And so when he visited us for our show, he talked about going to Star Wars Force Awakens in China, Hong Kong, and was asking if everybody was excited to see it. But what he was quite surprised was a lot of people hadn't seen Star Wars yet. With the ban on many things in China, Star Wars doesn't have the same pull as many other types of movies, comic books, or anything else do. And so I think when we talk about the China influence on the bank account or the box office of the movies, I think maybe we're overestimating just a little bit due to that limited information that's given within the country, and the limitations in what the people of China are exposed to. Don't know if this is true or not. I'm just speaking on behalf of some people that I have talked to who do teach and live in China. So just want to throw that out there. Other than that, awesome show as always. Looking forward to the next one, and long live the Commonwealth. Talk to you guys later.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. So did we overestimate how well this film should have performed in Asia?
Well, it certainly wasn't their intention for it to not perform as well as it did, was there? They went out to try and do that, and they obviously have failed in some sense.
It's weird.
How do other films of similar genres compare?
Well, the biggest example I've got is Transformers, and how well that performs overseas.
That's the toy, though, isn't it? That's because of the toy.
Yeah. So why hasn't
about,
Star Wars penetrated that market?
It's weird, isn't it?
Is it a cultural market? Simple as. I mean, Japan certainly is, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah.
They still flock when a Godzilla cartoon comes out, for crying out loud. So.
Oh, sure, yeah, it's huge over there.
Yeah,
It's a strange one.
I just think it's strange, especially with the two co-stars, Donnie Yen and Zhang Wen. I would have thought that they would have.
That's it, isn't it?
That would have been the appeal for this Star Wars movie when
That's
it
the thing,
when it went to
yeah.
Asia.
It doesn't, because you think, it's not to say that I think it should have been cast any other way, but there's no reason why they had to be Asian actors. So they were, they were chosen. Obviously they were chosen for a reason, and that's because they're incredibly talented. But also, I'm sure there was a consideration of, if we have Asian actors in our movies, it's a more diverse cast, and thus we may have a chance of doing better in multiple markets. I mean, that's got to be a consideration ultimately.
Of course, and this might actually be the Star Wars film with the most diverse cast that we've seen so far. And it's certainly the appeal of Diego Luna has certainly been felt. I'm hearing anecdotes from people who are absolutely overjoyed that a Mexican actor is so prominent in a Hollywood blockbuster, and he's the hero.
Yeah, deservedly so. He's very good.
And they're not downplaying his nationality in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And so the addition of Zhang Wen and Donnie Yen should have really been a free pass to the Asian markets. It's not like Rob was saying, fine, Star Wars isn't selling the film to the Asian markets, but those two actors should have. Paul?
Yeah. What do you think, Paul?
Sorry, I've been in long. I'm eating dinner still.
Oh.
But I've just sent you a little bit of information I've just dug up. Is one of the problems is that Star Wars itself is almost an unknown commodity there. Simple as. Apparently the prequels had no exposure almost at all. So it's hard for you to get involved in something that's in full swing when you don't know anything about the first 2, 3, 4 films.
Yeah, indeed.
I didn't ever think that those two guys being attached to Rogue One would be a big enough hook anyway for the Asian market. I didn't know if a single face could swing it as a second co-star, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
But I honestly thought China certainly must have been aware of the product called Star Wars: The Force Awakens and so on. They might not have flocked to see it, but I wondered if there might be a bit of a snowball effect with Rogue One coming in, and surely there would have been a bigger commercial push on that. But again, apparently it just didn't happen. So
The Force
maybe
Awakens,
it's a generational thing.
The Force Awakens was a much bigger success than Rogue One in China. It took twice the box office during its run. So is this a sign that they just aren't warming up to that franchise? Just doesn't work for them.
I guess so.
Well, I mean, how many people in China will have seen all the Star Wars films? Has it got a big fan base anyway?
No, well, that's kind of what Rob's voicemail is indicating, isn't it? That no, it just doesn't. It's fringe out there. It's not the mainstream thing that we recognise Star Wars to be here.
And especially that's true for Rogue One, because if you haven't seen Star Wars, you're never going to get Rogue One, are you? Well, interesting that.
Yeah, I've been very surprised by its
there's a lesson
performance.
Isn't there, Mark? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's right. Go.
the lesson is what we were talking about earlier. Don't try and create something to bring in more dosh if it goes away from the art form.
But that's assuming that there was no consideration of these are good actors and we should have them in these roles, which I don't think is the case. I think it's a consideration when that stuff happens, but I don't think it's the only reason they do this stuff, because that would just be tokenistic, and it would be, what's the word? It would be obvious. It would, and
it would ruin it in everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. As well, it's one of those things that we would spot.
Indeed. Well, like I say, I was surprised that it wasn't more of a success there. I think Rob's point he's made in his voicemail is a sterling one. You just can't, if something hasn't caught on, it's just not cut out to be a success there. It's unfortunate, I think, but we'll see what happens with 8 and see if 8 follows on from 7's comparable to its success, really, compared to Rogue One. We'll see if it picks up the ball where that one left it. All right, thanks for your voicemail, Rob. And once again, congratulations on Generation X. Good luck with the new podcast.
Yes, indeed.
All right, we got an email from Dan Solo at Star Wars Sucker on Twitter. Rob, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Just switch over. So, dear Mark and the rest of the gang at Talk Star Wars, I'm Dan Solo at Star Wars Sucker, and as usual, I was listening to Talk Star Wars in the car again today. I got to the point in episode 56. That's what a car sounds like, kids. Apparently that was a crime. I got to the point in episode 56 where you gave your thoughts on The Last Jedi title, and this prompted some thoughts of my own. I'm sure we're all hoping that Luke's exile to Ahch-To is not a cowardly one, and that he has a good heroic reason for vanishing. As the title of episode 7 is The Force Awakens, do we know who was responsible for this awakening? Chirrut Imwe confirmed to us in Rogue One that everything is as the Force wills it. Excuse me. So that would say to me that Rey's journey throughout the film was the Force in motion. Could it be that Luke based himself at the first Jedi Temple, using its power to call out to everyone who can tune into the light side of the Force so that they can gather to fight? Did he have a part to play in the events of episode 7 in terms of willing the right people together? Maybe he's disappointed that only Rey now stands in front of him, and people like Maz have talked the talk but not walked the walk. Could be a complete load of nonsense, but what are your thoughts? Thanks for another fantastic podcast. Looking forward to episode 57 almost as much as episode 8. Cheers, Dan.
Wow. That there's always something that blows the top of my head off in these listener emails, and this was the one this week. That idea of Luke causing the awakening is fantastic.
I like that idea better than the alternative, which is that it's kind of, there's no free will in the Star Wars universe.
That it's all just the will of the Force.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, there's going to be another, I think Connor's Corner this week sort of it nods towards the limitations of the Force.
Right.
More, the way I interpret it, more than the limitations of the Force user. So okay. I don't buy into the whole it's the will of the Force and the Force is
the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and that there's this huge tapestry of events that's written because you wouldn't, it just, where's the drama in that?
Yeah, well, quite. This is the problem. This is the worry I have.
And I really love the idea that this whole thing that started in The Force Awakens was because of what Luke did. And even though we only got, seconds of Mark at the end of that movie, it was his character that was driving the entire plot. From the first line of that opening crawl to him standing on that cliff, everything was him, pushing events into motion.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Did Luke bring about the awakening?
Yes.
Yeah? You're on for that, April?
Yeah.
All right.
Unintentionally.
You think unintentionally,
okay.
Steve?
Yeah, I don't think he would ever do it intentionally. I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it? Or is he trying to create that balance in the Force by creating the bad?
Yeah, well, I would imagine he probably, what we see in Rey's flashback of the Knights of Ren, the fall of Luke's school, would suggest to me that he knows what's at stake. And if you've got another Dark Force rising, and it's Snoke and Kylo and his knights, whatever the hell those turn out to be, and the First Order, it makes sense for Luke to pull a Yoda, disappear into hiding, preserve his knowledge, and then if he can call the rest of the Jedi, whatever they turn out to be, anyone that's Force sensitive, if he can call them all to him, maybe raise only the first of many to get to him. Maybe Kelly Marie Chan's character in the next movie is the next Force sensitive on her way to Luke.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I'd go with that. That's not the kind of the vibe that we're getting from the stuff that's coming out about that stuff, is it?
Not at the moment. Not about 8. No, the vibe I'm getting from 8 is that it's going to be Luke and Rey pretty much in isolation.
Yeah,
but she may, if this theory has any weight to it, she may only be the first of many, right?
Possibly. Yeah, that may be the long-term goal. Whether we might not necessarily see that manifested in the movies, but that might be what we're shown that it's clearly working towards. So
let's look at the second part of this breakdown of Dan's question. Then, would Rey be disappointed that only? Would Luke be disappointed that only Rey arrived at Arc 2 if he's connected to acolytes like Maz and Lor San Tekka? Why didn't he see? Is that something to be considered?
I don't know. I find the idea that Maz has ever in any way been kind of one of Luke's people to be unlikely.
You don't think she's connected to Luke?
I think they may have knowledge of each other in terms of not in the carnal way.
Carnal knowledge.
Yeah. No, just I think he may be aware of who she is. Although I do get the impression that it's been a while since she's seen Han. So I don't know do they, even if they know each other, they might not know each other particularly well. But I don't get the impression that she's ever been sort of signed up to the remotest kind of dogma.
But she's a Force user.
Yeah, I mean, that much is clear from the deleted scenes on Force Awakens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just think, I don't know, I don't get the impression that she's she might be one of those characters like Mara Jade was in the Legends for the longest time that didn't want to get involved with the Jedi business, even though she was a Force user.
Conscientious objectors.
Yeah, sort of. Just that kind of sense of, I know what you're doing, and I'm kind of, I don't want you to fail, but I'm not on board. That kind of attitude.
There is something. There is a parable in Life Debt. It's like a story within the story about. Yeah. I think it's Gallius Rax, and maybe he's listening to a piece of music about.
It's an operetta. Isn't it?
It's an opera, yeah, and it's about a. It's about a witch who didn't want to align herself with the Sith or the Jedi. Mm-hmm. It's it's about that central. I'm trying to avoid using the term grey because apparently Pablo doesn't like that. But
no, he doesn't like grey Jedi.
No, apparently
that's different.
So somewhere in the middle.
He doesn't like grey Jedi because he said there's no grey Jedi. You're either a Jedi or you're not.
Yeah.
And if you're on the Jedi, you see yourself as on the light side.
So
I don't think he disagrees with the concept of the grey. It's just the term grey Jedi.
In a way, that objection kind of adds weight to what we've all been saying, doesn't it? And not just us on this podcast, but the fandom at large. That there is a mid ground. There's like the Bendu and Ahsoka and what they've become in the story. There's somewhere in the middle between these dogmatic bodies of Force users. There's something in the middle. So grey Jedi is an oxymoron.
It's a hang up. Well, it's basically what it is. It's a hangover from in the Legends before the Sith was more firmly established. They used to be called Dark Jedi.
Yeah.
In Legend stuff. So I mean, in the games, in some of the books, they were always referred to as Dark Jedi, and now they're referred to as the Sith because obviously the prequels have happened since then, and we have more kind of understanding of what's involved.
Mm-hmm. And
obviously, there's been expanded universe Legends back then, and also the new canon stuff that actually explains that in more depth. So, the term Dark Jedi has just been kind of phased out, but obviously that's still in people's heads as a descriptor, adjective Jedi. So people still say Grey Jedi because that's kind of sensible in their head. But obviously, like we say, Pablo's not a fan.
So can we if we're going to say this, we're going off book a little bit, but if we said that Pablo's objection to the oxymoron of Dark Jedi or Grey Jedi is an indicator that this mid ground within Force users exists.
Yeah.
And we can say you can plot Maz Kanata and Lor Santeca in there. We didn't see any evidence that Lor Santeca was a Force user, but he's definitely he's a part of the Church of the Force. He's an acolyte of the Force, and we know that he spent some time with Luke after Return of the Jedi. So if we've got this mid ground that exists that we're going to start to learn about, presumably. Could the title The Last Jedi be Luke Skywalker's intention, that he's drawing a line under the Jedi die with him and he's determined to set something else in motion before he goes?
I feel like that was one of the things I speculated on last week.
Was it?
If it wasn't, it was something I meant to say. It was one of the ones on my list.
Right, okay.
But unfortunately, I was pretty tired last week, so I don't actually remember much of what I said last week in general.
And it may have been such a good idea that I cut it out and remembered it for this week to use as my own. He says with one raised eyebrow.
I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. I think that was one of the ones I was kind of thinking of is, he may be the last Jedi in the respect of something else is going to take their place in, going forwards to represent the light side of the Force.
Yeah. Or
so
force use in general.
Yeah, there's not going to be, he's kind of, I mean, that's another possibility even further is that he's going to just kind of he's trying to abolish any kind of organized religion behind it. And he's looking to purely kind of embrace the pure kind of appreciation and stuff of the Force rather than setting rules and
let it be one with the Force rather than use it to their own ends.
Yeah.
Guys, what do you make of it, Steve?
I love the idea like you do about this, but because I like the idea that Luke is kind of knows the Force is in control, and if this is what the Force wants, then he might, if he's being guided to force that awakening. But then does that also account for why perhaps he knows about Han's death before he's been told? And the fact that his look on his face at the end of 7 is actually because he knew it would happen, and it was all unfortunate, but that's what you need to do in order to create the balance.
Oh, I don't know how well that would go down. Because that would be one they'd have to kind of explain away, wouldn't it? And it would be like, that would be Luke saying, oh yeah, he was one of my best friends, but you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs,
Yeah, and the Jedi...
I think it's too deep, isn't it? I don't think this whole concept, even though it's good, is too deep because it's, like you say, you've got to explain all this, and I don't know if they'd be able to do that very well.
Well, you've also got, at the end of The Force Awakens, we see Leia feel what happens between Han and Kylo Ren on that catwalk. If she felt it,
she can feel it. Yeah,
he felt it, and they're all the same blood, aren't they? So,
but that's blood. That's a different situation. In relation to what you just said there, Rob, about how that would go down in relation to Luke and Han. Yeah, Yoda had no issue saying to Luke, don't go to Bespin. It's their fate. Let them make their own minds up, and so on. Yeah,
but that's where Luke kind of fell down, isn't it? He failed.
That was Yoda's weakness. That was Yoda and Ben's weakness, was looking at things like that, and Luke's ability to rise above that is what brought Anakin back from the dark side, wasn't it? To use compassion, and what they were trying to do was prevent Luke from doing that, right? Do you not think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Are you having technical issues, Paul?
No, sorry, I got pulled away there.
Oh, right, okay.
Rewind. I didn't actually manage to hit your retort to what I said about Yoda. Rob,
Rob, take that again.
Sorry.
Yeah,
it was purely that Luke rejected that, and that's why he failed that particular test of Yoda's because he rejected that sort of part.
No, my point is that Yoda did not have an issue with letting that take place.
No, Yoda.
So Luke's also got to be on standby and say, look, Han's a grown guy. It's his destiny. It's his fate. Let him take it into his own hands in the same time. Yeah, but and maybe not interfering with the balance is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but then Mark was saying that Luke by failing Yoda and Ben's test, Luke actually, in the long run, brought Anakin back from the dark side and destroyed the Sith.
Yeah,
he may not see it that way.
If he'd have followed, that
was Mark's point, not mine. But
Yeah, if he'd have followed Yoda and Obi-Wan's instructions to the letter, they wouldn't have beat the Emperor. And that might have been something that the Emperor was relying on.
We don't know that.
We have no way of knowing for sure, but that's the kind of the impression we're left with.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, you're right. There's no way to be sure.
So I don't.
In relation.
Sorry, no, go, Paul. Go.
I was going to say, in relation to would he be gutted that Rey arrived? I basically think he's been expecting somebody to deliver that lightsaber. That's all. I don't think he has. I don't think he has feelings one way or the other. He's just waiting, and whoever brings this along shows promise. And I think that's where they're going to be. He knows. I don't think he knows everything's going to be great when this turns up, or everything's going to be terrible. It's like somebody with something is going to bring my lightsaber back, and we'll go from there.
I think I'm inclined to agree with you to a point. I think he knows that he's safe on Arc 2, not that he's in fear for his own well-being, but the knowledge that he represents is safe on Arc 2. And he knows when someone arrives, that's the call to arms, and he can't avoid it. It's a bit like he's almost become Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan knew all those years in the desert, at some point, Luke was going to end up taking the first step onto that hero's path, and he'd need to be there to guide him. So all that time he spent in the wild just waiting for that moment to happen is equal to Luke's time spent on Arc 2 waiting for someone to turn up and say, this is your call back. And it's that bloody lightsaber again that he can't seem to get away from.
Yeah.
That was his first call to action, and now it's come around and it's doing it again.
We don't know that he hasn't been sending some kind of spy out, eyes. We don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
He might have been looking at the situation for a very long time.
Well, I think that's what the convoy might be about.
Possibly those little birdies.
Ooh, yeah, because in Rebels we see them watching a lot of these events. They're like drones, yeah.
Oh, they're the puffins on the
They're the puffins, yeah.
Can they break atmosphere? Hang on. Can they break atmosphere?
No, I don't.
Not in real life.
Yeah, they jump to hyperspace.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they hyperspace enabled? Because otherwise I feel like that's unlikely.
No, but
you've got a hell of a headache.
They do exist.
They put him in there because they said they were those because they were in every shot and they couldn't get rid of them.
No, I said that last week. I don't know how much truth there is.
Is that true?
No, I don't know. That was speculation on my part.
But it is the largest colony of puffins in Northern Hemisphere, isn't it?
Is it?
Or something.
Okay.
On that island. So it makes sense. They're kind of like, geez, we can't get these guys out of shot.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, it does make sense. And to tie them into the convoy is genius, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are, within Star Wars, there are convoy or convoys elsewhere. So we see them in Rebels overlooking the temple, the Sith temple. I think it's on Moribund when Ahsoka disappears. There's a convoy at the end of that shot. So they do exist elsewhere. So it's possible that Luke can, tap into something.
Yeah, they might have the convoys themselves might have a telepathic link as well.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because the Force moves through everything, doesn't it? So
yeah, absolutely.
But Dan, I love this idea that Luke may be behind the awakening.
It's a cool thought.
I don't know how. I don't know how he would do it, and I don't know how much time they'd commit to explaining it in the film. I can see it in Rebels activating temples and all the holocrons and what have you. I can see that being something that they tease out over a season. But in one movie, I'm not sure how much they'd invest in that. But I love the idea. I think it's awesome. Thanks for that, Dan. Right, okay, we're gonna run over quickly and we're gonna hear a little bit about Loot Crate, and then when we come back, we've got another voicemail from our friend Kyle at Tumbling Saber.
Cool.
Are you on a quest for epic gear, housewares, and collectibles? Loot Crate offers an epic range of pop culture items for less than $20 per month. Whether you're shopping for the geek in your life or you are that geek, Loot Crate is the best surprise you know is coming. Every month there's a different theme with new and exclusive items that you can only get with Loot Crate. Treat yourself every month or give the gift of geeking out to a friend or a loved one. Roll up your sleeves and get ready to celebrate some of pop culture's most put-together franchises. February's hands-on theme is Build and features Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Batman, Lego Dimensions, and Tetris. And as always, there's the monthly t-shirt and pin. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate. And when the cut-off happens, that's it, it's over. make sure to head to lootcrate.com/Talk Star Wars and enter the code Talk Star Wars to save $3 off your new subscription today. Okay, let's get next. Our next voicemail is from Kyle over at Tumbling Saber.
Hey guys, it's Kyle at Tumbling Saber here. I've got a question for you this week that I asked the guys on Sith Disturbers, and I ran a poll about the same thing, but you know, I hold your opinions in super high esteem, so I could not live with myself if I didn't ask you. So the symphonic scores are just as iconic as lightsabers and bun hairdos. But I'm wondering if you can envision a standalone movie that would not feature a symphonic score. And I won't get any more specific than that. I just want to hear what you guys think. Can you picture a Star Wars movie without a classic symphonic score? So it's a quick one this week. I hope you guys are all doing well. I really look forward to hearing your answer, as always, and long live the Commonwealth.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
So symphonic scores.
There you go.
And moving on. All right, Steve, let's start with you, seeing as you jumped in.
For me, Star Wars is all about music. The films are all right. I love the films, whatever the originals. Anyway, as we discussed in The Dark Side earlier. But for me, the music, I can listen in the car and I can make the film I actually wanted to see in my head. God, that's contentious.
Oh, Paul, he's up for your title, mate.
No, Paul probably is along those lines, I imagine.
Yeah, well, this is it. You're going to have a contrarian off.
So you can't imagine a Star Wars movie that wouldn't be accompanied by an orchestral score.
God, no, it wouldn't be Star Wars, would it? It's a bit like if they keep stripping stuff off of it like this, then it's just going to become a space movie that's kind of similar to that Star Wars movie I used to like.
Okay, Rob.
I'm with Steve on this one. Not to the same degree that I think it would be a space movie based on that one I almost like or whatever he said. But the example I'll use is Bond, right? So Bond traditionally has themes that are, you know, bombastic, and a lot of them are symphonic. Not all of them are. Some of them are sort of, you know, famous rock bands and stuff like that. But there's a definite thread that runs through a good Bond theme and a certain bombastic nature. When you go to, say, Die Another Day, which goes a bit more down that sort of pop song route, it's crap. I mean, the film itself is crap too, as far as I'm concerned. But the theme, that's one of the things that starts off on a bad foot because it's got this awful pop, you know, with like electronic beats and stuff. And it's like, this doesn't feel right, especially after the one before was garbage. World Is Not Enough, and that was a proper, you know, that was garbage, stepping out of their usual music style to deliver this massive orchestral Bond theme mingled in with some of their usual sound elements, and it was amazing for it. So I think if you were to change that and just have, you know, Lord forbid dubstep or something like that in your Star Wars, it would like Steve said, it just wouldn't feel right. It would feel instantly kind of alien to you. And I think your brain would, I mean, mine certainly would. I think people's brains would just reject it as a Star Wars movie, and it just wouldn't feel like it fit. I mean, obviously people have got sort of, you know, hang-ups with Rogue One score, and I get it, but I still feel like it's a good score personally. But I do, you know, I get how people can sort of kind of distinguish it and go, this doesn't feel like Star Wars, but they can still appreciate its quality. I think if you went too far down that route, you would end up with, like Steve said, just a space movie with a Star Wars brand on it.
But there might be a way to go that doesn't necessarily mean you ditch the orchestral score and put a more contemporary score in. There is a mid ground, right?
But I think anything you do in that vein would instantly kind of rankle the sort of the ears of the sort of,
which it certainly has, because I know Giacchino's score upset a few people. It's the things that upset people about it I loved. Like I really like some of that stuff on Jeddah, some of the weird textures that he uses in some of those moments. Yeah, it really appeals to me, and it appeals to me because it's fresh and new. Paul? You're the music aficionado on the podcast. What's your take on this, mate?
It's tricky because when you say symphonic score, are we just talking real world orchestra, or are we talking symphonic sound? In a nutshell, because you listen to the works of, Zimmer doesn't always use an orchestra.
No.
You listen to the works that Zimmer did with Junkie XL. Junkie XL didn't use an orchestra, but some of the stuff he produced for Mad Max is phenomenal. And then you've got the likes of Trent Reznor coming along. You've got Clint Mansell coming along, and so on. And they're blasting out absolutely thunderous music. I don't think there's too many, brass instruments and stringed instruments playing around, sort of thing. The answer I can give to this is you absolutely need the heartbeat of a symphonic feel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because
I'd go with that. I like that.
If anything, purely because we owe it to Mr. Williams. End of.
Well, right.
Oh yeah. No,
we just owe it.
You're absolutely right. And you would never lose the opening fanfare, would you? Never lose that main theme. That would always accompany.
That's your latch, isn't it? So that's almost the crux. It's an anthem.
You say that, but it didn't have the main Star Wars theme in Rogue One.
Did it not? Was it not
not in the beginning? No.
Not when Star Wars words come up.
Actually, it's true. But what it's got is, they blended in certain areas of the Imperial March and other little bits. There's scatterings of elements, but
absolutely,
right.
Yeah. I'm
talking
about
the opening theme.
The main theme is it's just a little stirring kind of. It's the end of a track. It's just.
Well, they didn't really give us an opening, did they?
It was a cold open.
They didn't, but
which I actually quite liked. But
in a
discussion, I guess.
In a saga movie, you'd have the theme.
Yeah,
that would be present.
That's the point, though, isn't it? It's part of the soap, isn't it?
Yeah.
But with a standalone, I'd be quite excited to see someone like I said before, Trent Reznor attached to it. Or,
I've got to tell you that.
Johan Johansson or something along those lines would be quite exciting.
Now you say that could be interesting.
Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross.
It's got to be on a standalone. That's the thing.
Yes.
What you said about Zimmer as well. Some of that stuff he did in The Dark Knight with the he used odd. Didn't he play a saw with a bow?
He recorded pigeons stuck in a cage and stuff.
So it's all textures and things like that.
Basically,
it's amazing to think that you can build that. The stuff I mentioned in Giacchino's score, the stuff on Jeddah. That's the kind of thing that I like, and I could see Zimmer scoring a Star Wars movie and using those textures in place of what we would traditionally recognise as being like the John Williams symphonic score. I would like that. But Rob, when you were speaking, the mid ground I was talking about between contemporary music and a classical orchestration would be something like they did in Firefly. And I could imagine this working in the Han Solo movie, have something
just
that
took the words out of my mouth. Actually.
Very Western, very Western
because you've got this hip gunslinger kind of. We've got this. This is a bit of a. This is like Kick-Ass's, Star Wars version of Kick-Ass, I think, coming our way. So the idea of throwing someone in with a little bit of a left field direction would be quite interesting. Seriously. Yeah,
and we're going to look at the title treatment in that tweet that came out earlier this week that announced the beginning of the principal photography for Han Solo, and the title treatment there looks very much like it's nodding towards a Western kind of feel to me, and I can imagine them doing something. Well, if you could combine that Western style feel that you get in Firefly with something that Giacchino did on Jeddah, or that you would imagine Zimmer or Trent Reznor doing with those textures, I'd be very excited by that.
Can we all agree at the very least then that even if we're not all kind of quite on the same page about whether or not it could be done, we would say if it can be done, it should happen in a standalone?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, no, you don't tinker with the trilogies, mate.
No, I don't think you can do. I don't think you could do it in a Skywalker saga entry, but I would say you probably wouldn't be able to do it wholesale either. I think you could do it in addition to the symphonic orchestration. Yeah. The classical orchestration that we recognise.
Symphonic samples.
Yeah, they do. See, they do that in some of the trailers, don't they? And that never goes down very well with fans. I liked everything I heard.
You say that, the Force Awakens trailer
was some beautiful stuff in there.
It was thrown together, but it had almost nothing to do with John Williams. And a lot of people were kind of, why isn't that track on the LP? Why isn't that track around? Blah, 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 blah. But it was literally a sampled lift. And I play on loop on 11 often when I'm alone.
Yeah. We just are you talking about the stuff that started in that trailer with a single key strike? And then you get that orchestral score at the end. It's
and
the
end. What's the closing credit? That track Epiphany.
Is it Epiphany?
Where did that come? Yeah, but there's the other track. I don't know where that came from either, but it's in the closing credit, I think, briefly. But I'm not sure if it's a Williams piece.
Not sure.
Well, I'd be up for someone giving it a go, and it depends. I mean, we don't know who's going to end up scoring the Han Solo movie yet.
True.
Yeah, well, they should think about it.
It might, whoever it is, might broadcast their intentions quite clearly that they're going to take a departure, but we shall see.
Steve XL might be a little too far over, but Johan Johansson or Trent Atticus, what they're called.
Yeah, it's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They did some stuff. I think they did The Social Network together, and Trent Reznor did.
Handcovers Bruise. It's really deep and stirring, and it's just the two piano notes come in, but it's fantastic. And
Trent Reznor's work on The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is just sublime. That soundtrack is incredible. And there doesn't appear to be an awful lot of music in there. It is all just noise kind of sculpted into this phonic experience. It's something else. Steve, you've been very quiet. Have you got anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I've kind of said it. I think there are some things that are sacrosanct, if that's the right word.
Yeah. Coruscant, that's that planet, isn't it?
Coruscant, yeah.
And you just don't touch them, and that's one of them. Even on the standalone. I mean, if they want these standalones to tie in at all, then at least you don't mess with the films. At least, the beat has to be there, and that is the backdrop for the entire thing, isn't it? The music.
It really.
So maybe the answer then is we need more kind of qualifiers for this. We need loopholes. Sorry, Kyle. I know you're sick of them from dealing with your brother, but
basically.
Basically, we literally need more loopholes. Because it seems like one where, do we want an entirely, or could we see one without an entirely symphonic score? Absolutely. Would it have to be a standalone? We feel like probably yes. These sort of things are, we're kind of delving very deep into this.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a quick question.
It does go back here. Don't we do that all the time?
That's why I love us.
I think we've said recently about, it's definitely my position on these standalone movies. I think that Rogue One took half a step away from Star Wars. Han Solo will take a full step away from Star Wars, and whatever comes next will be a little bit more daring, a little bit bolder. And it's not until they fully understand the effects of taking things out that they can really address these things. If they move one step further away with Han Solo, and we get this kind of Western take, and if they use somebody like Zimmer on the score, we know that they're feeling a little bit more comfortable with what they can get away with. And people like Steve, who are purists, will either come with or they'll fall away. But for every Steve, there's the three of us who will be a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
So it'll be a calculated risk. Okay, thanks for that, Carl. What we're going to do is we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to disappear into Connor's Corner. If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, you can do so by becoming a TSW sponsor. For as little as £1 per month given securely via PayPal, you can help us keep the lights on here at TSW. When you become a TSW sponsor, we will elevate you to VIP status. As a TSW VIP, you'll get access to an exclusive stream that provides you with fun downloads like HD wallpapers for your desktop, tablet and mobile device, ringtones and text alerts courtesy of our very own audio Jedi at Rob Wade Vision. You'll also receive a monthly newsletter with news about what's going on here at Talk Star Wars, and you'll get a priority release of the new Star Wars audio commentary series called TSW Feature Comms. All this for as little as £1 per month. Head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor today, and the Force will be with you always.
And we're back. So as you've just heard, you can find out more about our VIP program at talkstarwars.co.uk/support, where you can join the VIP program and gain access to the increasingly large amount of lovely stuff that you either get first or exclusively. So that's nice. So as is customary, after hearing from ourselves about how great we are and how you should definitely support us, it's time to hear from our first night of the Commonwealth, not the overall first, Connor's Corner featuring Leo. So Connor is somebody we've been lucky enough to talk to on the first episode of the TSW Roundtable, which you'd have got first if you were a TSW VIP. See what I did there?
Nicely done.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm total pro. So Connor writes thusly. Good day, my friends. This week I watched Star Wars, and something that got me thinking and led to this question for you fine gentlemen, hoping it may stir up some of that now internationally famous Talk Star Wars responses we've come to love. So here goes. The Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi, all-powerful with the Force. The man who wants to teach the son of Anakin Skywalker the ways of the Jedi and how it can be used on the weak-minded and move inanimate objects and so on and so forth. Mr. Kenobi volunteers to deactivate the tractor beam and climbs out the gantry, shimmying around the tower. Yes, I said shimmies. And manually deactivates the two panels. Could he not have just done this by way of the Force? Or does the Force only work on non-organic objects when you have line of sight? He also distracts the two troopers by making a noise or knocking over or moving something elsewhere out of sight. So a plot hole, or can it be explained? I'm not saying he could have just said, okay, that's the tractor beam off, let's get out of here, when he was showing the schematics of the Death Star. We all saw Vader do the chokey thing by Skype in Empire, remember? And hitting Luke with the objects on Bespin, but with line of sight. Vader and Luke were able to communicate without line of sight, or was this just to reinforce the father-son dynamic for the viewers? As always, we look forward to hearing what you have to say on this. Your friend Connor, proud Knight of the Commonwealth. P.S. Just wanted to say congratulations to the Generation X-Wing guys on 100 shows. Great job, guys. Smuggled to you by YT 1300F Light Freighter.
I do love his sign-off.
I asked about this when we saw Rogue One, because why didn't Vader just grab the disc with the Force? And I said, was it because he couldn't see it?
It's because he was busy being shot.
That as well, but Paul's right.
Shot at.
Has anyone seen Donnie Darko? I know you have, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, you know those things that come out of them?
They're tendrils, yeah. The sort of.
I always see it like that. That's why they also hold their hands out. Like if you didn't need to hold your hand out, you wouldn't, would you? So they're projecting the Force almost like an extension of their arm, and they have to see where that arm's going.
Okay.
But then we also pointed out that when Luke's doing the whole thing on Dagobah, he's got his eyes shut and everything's floating and so on. Or is he already got a handle on it by then?
I think that's the part of the training, isn't it? Is to get so good that you can do that stuff with your eyes shut, so to speak.
Yeah, and
can I blow my own
amidst distraction.
Sure.
Yeah,
clearly.
Normally do,
I have a feeling you're about to.
Vader does the Force chokey thing on the bloke without looking at him. On what's his name?
Rogue One.
No, but he's already
Rogue
had
One.
a look at him by then.
Correct.
Yeah, but
was Vader aware that there was a hard disk in that guy's
in
pocket and
that
so
film
on?
where she gets a kit off, but I'm not boinking her.
Paul, to address your point, yeah, he does know, because I did some research into this because I was going to write a Star Wars Insights about it, and so I went back to the novelisation of Rogue One and listened to it.
Yeah, it's in there, isn't it?
Yeah, he is aware that he has the disc on him.
Okay.
Okay.
He's trying to basically keep himself from getting shot by collecting all the lightsaber stuff, the blaster stuff.
In the book, he pulls a guy to him by the throat, a bit like Kylo Ren did in The Force Awakens, down that corridor, but doesn't get to the... Because I was trying to find a way to disprove, because no, James at Tumbling Saber has a problem with this as well.
Yeah.
The guy had that little memory card and he was running through the thing with it. It would have been very easy, you would think, for Vader just to snatch that. But Steve explained it away ages ago that Anakin's problem, remembering Anakin's inside that black armour, was that he could never get out of the moment. He couldn't. He could never... He was so consumed with what he was doing, he couldn't see the big picture.
Did I say that?
You said
that,
yeah.
You did actually.
That was insightful.
It was.
It was, yeah.
We were gobsmacked.
Everyone was. I had dozens of emails about it.
So in a nutshell, Ben was crap and couldn't do the tractor.
I don't know. I mean, the practical answer is that the Force is like hyperspeed, and I heard Kyle mention this on. I don't know if it was on a main show or Journals of the Willing, but he was talking about hyperspeed or light speed hyperspace and how it moves at the speed of plot. And I think the same thing is true of the Force, is a plot device. And with the problem that you get when you give these characters these superhero abilities is you need to be able to indicate what they're doing on screen. And if you have, like Stevie pointed out, when they hold up their hands, it's to show the audience visually that they're interacting with something. Otherwise, you'll have a bunch of actors just stand around with blank looks on their faces and stuff just happening in the frame, and it'll be incredibly confusing. So that's the practical reason. But if you're going to try and explain it away in terms of plot, I think we need to try and find a way to disprove what Connor's suggestion is, that you need line of sight. And I can't think of one. I can't think of an example. I'm sure there is one of a Jedi or a Sith Lord using the Force on something where where it's not local to them.
Not local, yeah. I don't know. I mean, loads where they're not looking at it. Like even Yoda, when he's lifting up the X-wing, he's not looking at it. He's got his eyes shut.
But he does know where it is.
But he does know where it is.
Luke and Darth.
Go on, Paul. Sorry.
I was going to say Luke and Darth communicate from Star Destroyer to the Falcon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Luke and Leia communicate.
Yeah.
But that's the communication thing, not the movie thing.
Yeah, but the movie thing, yeah.
This is very much like Titanic, isn't it?
Just that nothing sunk.
In the sense
that's exactly
that,
the same.
You know when Jack and the girl in it, Kate Winslet, they're on the door at the end.
Rose.
Right? Rose. They're on the door. Everyone's got a problem with the fact that Jack could have got on the door. They've done it in Mythbusters over and over again. But then James Cameron came out and said they're talking S1H Tango, SH1 Tango, if you can spell. Because in real life, yes, they could have taken off their life vests. Yes, they could have swum underneath. It's 28 degrees. Jack would have got hypothermia within 10 minutes, and they had to put bows on these life jackets in order to give it buoyancy. Then he gets to try and climb on. His hands are frozen. Blah, blah, blah. It never would have happened in real life. And I suppose if you put that in relation to Darth trying to get the disc, yeah, he's got people shooting at him, fighting at him. He's trying to move forward. He's trying to deflect lights, blaster bolts. He probably did get a grasp on it in the Force a couple of times, but then it got away with him.
Yeah.
So it's easy looking at it to say, oh, why didn't you do this? And I'm defending Star Wars here, Mark. Put a time code on that bitch.
He's such a
I'm putting a time.
To go in.
I'm putting a time code.
I'm actually going to listen.
I've always
I want that in.
I've always thought of it as the more intricate the action, the less likely it is that you're going to use the Force to do it unless you're particularly smug. So Ben, we've said, how many times have we said Ben knows he's not getting off that Death Star?
Yeah.
So maybe he could have done it from further away, but he knows that he has to move in a certain direction in order to end up in the corridor with Vader.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not entirely sold that that's the reason he's using it.
I'm not saying that's the only reason, but I think if that's not the case, then our theory of him knowing he's not getting off the Death Star is a little bit ropier, because that's one reason why he might be down in that area doing that with his bare hands, and going left instead of right, for example, and not fighting his way through the stormtroopers. Because he could have, probably. It looks like he's about to, bust some stuff up in Rebels.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, exactly. Then, in which case, he's perfectly capable of busting up a couple of stormtroopers and taking them out. But
I'm going to put that question back on Connor.
All right.
Does he think it's feasible that if you're a Jedi and you're in the midst of a holographic communication projection with someone on another world, and you can see them, could you move something behind them that you can see through a holographic projection because you can see it? Like, could you, if you see a pot behind them, could you move it?
So you think like Vader could be, instead of choking the guy using Force Crushy Throat, he would look, he would just kind of mess with him by making something drop off a shelf behind him and really freaking him out.
No, what I'm saying is, could you? I know we're saying you have to be localized to an object to use the Force on it, but if they could see an object live through a holographic projection, as he is communicating with someone on another world, could he then move it because he's seeing it, but he's billions of light years away from it?
Well, that's the theory, isn't it?
So you think that could happen, even though it's not local, it's somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know, That opens
Otherwise,
up
they'd be
another
able to
can of
kill
worms.
people remotely, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you
Wouldn't
just
even need-
you just drop a bunch of hollow emitters into a battleground, and Jedi would just turn up and start
wouldn't even need to get off your bum.
twisting heads off. Wouldn't they?
Vader would be huge, 28 stone, cheetah eating
Cheetah?
cheetahs.
Didn't you mean Cheeto? Or do you
Cheetos,
suggest he's going to
yes.
start eating big cats for fun?
Whatever. The lady doth protest too much, methinks.
No, I mean the lady doth insist you can spell and punctuate correctly.
Well, I
That's
don't
not-
eat cheetahs because I'm a vegan. Or Cheetos.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
they've got cheese in them.
there you go then.
Not cheetahs. They haven't got any cheese.
I would say the answer to Connor's question isn't very glamorous, and it is that it is just a plot point. If it was expediency that they needed in that scene, he might have run past that corridor. You know, like Darth Maul when he opens that door by throwing the head at the control in Phantom Menace, and the door pops open. He throws the droid's head at the door, doesn't he, using the Force? They'd have done something like that if it was expediency that they were looking for in this scene, but they didn't need to show it. They needed tension. And that's not very glamorous and not a very exciting answer.
Ben's got to leave Luke alone to discover himself and find the princess and fall in the trash compactor and everything else, isn't it? And Ben probably knows this. So.
Good character building stuff.
But he didn't have to climb out on the pole to do the... He could have moved the
Up to
handles
you,
by
Luke.
looking at them. Couldn't
Well,
he?
that is, I mean, that's the heart of this question, isn't it? Can he do it? And it would
He could have
suggest
done it,
the
yes.
fact that he didn't do it, it suggests that it can't be done. I don't know. I don't know. This has got me stumped because there's two kind of rules. When we see young Obi-Wan do it, he picks up Qui-Gon's lightsaber without seeing it when he's hanging in
yes, that's
the
a good
shaft
one.
in Phantom Menace,
But
right?
he probably
Sure.
is familiar with Qui-Gon's lightsaber to a point where, maybe he's held it.
Maybe he could feel the crystal within the Force as well. I
There
suppose.
is also that
There's
possibility.
extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
See, we can
um,
write ourselves out of this thing in almost every other example except this.
I still think that it's an intricacy problem. It's something too, from where he was, it's too hard to do because it's too intricate. You have to kind of work your way through. I mean, you imagine Vader. Let's take the example of Vader choking the guy from across space, right? They're both in the same system.
They're on the same
Or
ship,
did-
aren't they?
No. Oh, actually, yes, he is. So.
Yeah, they're on the
Yeah.
the executor, aren't they?
So Vader is somebody, like I say, I think grandstanding is a big part of it. I really do. Like, I think Vader does it to really send a message to multiple people on that bridge, not just to Piet that I can choke you from anywhere on this ship, but also everybody around them who probably fears him anyway. Just saw a really good reason to.
Yeah.
Ben is just, trying to do something. It's also entirely possible that because it's mechanical machinery, it's not entirely familiar in terms of, like, you may need line of sight if it's machinery.
Yeah.
If it's we're talking about everything else we've talked about is organic matter in some form.
Yeah, and Connor does mention the inanimate objects in his question, doesn't he?
Yeah, so Vader can chuck the inanimate objects because he's in the room. But I think it's I think you might struggle to move something that small, which is what's it called? The
Tractor beam.
switch is relatively small on the grand scale with the rest of the Death Star around them.
He actually has to adjust a couple of them.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, it's two panels.
Shimmies, as he said, he shimmies
Yeah.
around and he does it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's starting to shimmy.
yeah. So this is it. I think it's entirely different to move some small switch on a control panel from remote distances than it is to choke somebody across the Force because they have a presence in the Force, whereas I don't necessarily think that a switch would.
Wasn't he also trying to hide from the stormtroopers and using that column as a place to hide too?
But there's a small element of that to it, I guess. But
Because
Yeah.
why move it with the Force if you can move it with your hand?
Yeah, the other alternative would be quite funny, wouldn't it? Him with his eyes closed, wiggling his fingers, and two stormtroopers standing next to him. What are you doing?
or they just spin around and they're like, what?
You mental.
Yeah.
All right, Connor, thanks for your question. It's something that's difficult to explain away, but there you might have a bit of an answer there. Like he has to hide around that thing so he's not seen by the stupid stormtroopers.
We're just glossing over everything I said, are we?
Yes, let's just do
okay,
that.
fine.
All right, let's get on to some Twitter poll questions then. Twitter poll results. So last week's Twitter poll was, who will be the last Jedi referenced in the new Star Wars Episode 8 title? Quote for other. Is it going to be Luke Skywalker, Rey, Kylo Ren, or Snoke? Only 4% of the 2,398 people that saw this thought it was Snoke. 56% said Luke Skywalker. Guys,
53.
Who did you think?
I thought Luke, but isn't it 53?
It's 50. It's 56.
Is it?
It's 56.
Picture says 53.
Computer says 56.
That might be the poll. The one you've seen isn't the closed poll. That's the start of it last week. Who did you say?
Picky.
I said Luke.
Yeah, I think Luke too, guys.
Yeah, I said Luke.
Yeah.
We all said Luke.
Yeah. Okay. So the 4% that said Snoke. What are you thinking?
It could be right. You never know.
You never know. Okay.
That's the new fan theory that's been buzzing around this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think that's right though.
No, I don't think so.
It kind
It's
of.
too
It says the
arbitrary.
Last Jedi in the opening crawl to Force Awakens.
True. And he uses the words "the Last Jedi" to describe Luke himself.
Yeah. Unless he says me out the corner of his mouth. The Last Jedi.
Well, at least the penultimate Jedi. Twist.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to get Luke for, so he can claim the mantle of Last Jedi.
Having some of that, like Highlander.
All right, next week's Twitter poll is as follows. You have to delete a Star Wars movie from existence. Which one goes? Quote if you'd like to explain your choice. And I haven't gone for easy ones. The Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, or The Force Awakens. So you don't get out of it easily by saying Attack of the Clones. That is going live now. And shall be pinned to our profile.
Oh, this is easy. Oh, no. Now, after my new awakening over the weekend, I don't know, because I see Revenge of the Sith as my favourite of the prequels. And also, it's just Lucas and no intervention or messing around from corporate entities. So I'm going to say Force Awakens. I'm sorry, Rob.
That's all right. It's your choice. That is fine. No, I wasn't signing at that anyway. By the way, I was just I don't like having to make this choice. It's not an easy one.
You don't have to. You can. No,
I know. I've done it.
You can sit the poll out.
I know. I've done it though.
Okay.
So
right. Well, that's pinned to our profile, so you can have some fun with that over the next week.
That hurt.
Okay.
I can't even see anyone else's. I'm already pressing it.
Yeah, just refresh. There
you go. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Mark's not going to be happy, I don't think.
I haven't seen any. Oh, there we go. 67%. So The Force Awakens.
So far. 3, admittedly. I don't think that's how it's going to end.
I'm not going to.
I'd be very surprised.
I'm not going to take part because it's my own pop. Okay.
That's fine.
Let's get into some Star Wars news. So, Star Wars Celebration. I am going to be there. I'm going to be at Star Wars Celebration for the full 4 days in Orlando. So
is Lisa going too?
No, it's just me. So let me know if you're going to be there, and we can do a bit of a meet up. I think Rob Cast is going to be there, and Commander Cody from Rogue Squadron podcast is going to be there, and Ben and Ash from Skyhoppers, they're also going to be there. I think Jamie from Generation X-Wing is coming down as well. I'm not sure how long he's down for. So
nice.
That's
a good selection.
Yeah,
you may want to do 2 round tables there because that might get chaotic otherwise.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, it depends what everybody else's schedule is looking like. But Rob's definitely talking about doing live round table from Celebration, so that'll be quite interesting.
My own plans. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's there.
There is a possibility, however remote it may be at this point, that I may turn up on Tumbling Saber again like I did for last Celebration UK.
Oh, that would be good.
That may be something that happens.
We'll have to have a little discussion in After Dark Side Part 2 after this about what happens to this show.
Yes,
that week, but we can talk about that later.
I can. We'll probably figure out a way for me to look after it.
Can't you do it from there, Mark?
We don't need Mark.
Possibly. And
no, I'm expendable. Mark isn't. You could do it from there. Of course you could. I mean, the latency's not that bad, is it, from Orlando?
It's just the time. It's just the time difference.
Yeah, it's the time difference. Yeah,
because when you guys
between 5 and 8 hours, depending on
your usual timings would be I would most likely be in a queue.
Yeah.
Or
we'll figure it out. I'm sure I can figure out a way to find something together.
We can work something out. So yes, if you are going to be there, then give us a shout. Look out for us. Keep your eye on the Facebook page because I'm going to be updating that. There's going to be a photo stream. Actually, the photo stream might be VIP only. We'll see. But yeah, keep your eye out for us there. We're going to be having some fun. So let's just jump over to Rogue One, a Star Wars story news. So Rogue One Blu-ray might be hitting on March 28th, which is perfect timing for me to be able to take it with me to Florida. Yeah. Nice. So there was an Amazon listing about something to do with some sort of publication that's going to come out around the time of the DVD, and it said something like this: "As Rogue One: A Star Wars Story is released on DVD worldwide, the official mission debrief, which is this publication, presents an all-encompassing guide to the hugely successful movie. It was bigly successful. With unprecedented access to the making of the film, its stars, its crew, its stunning landscapes. Relive the latest movie in the world's greatest franchise over and over again. A must for any fan of Star Wars." So I'm immediately going to purchase that official mission debrief because that sounds pretty cool. And I will be picking up the digital version of the film. Will you guys be picking it up when it's released in March, or will you wait for the Blu-ray that's going to be double dipped undoubtedly later in the year?
I'll probably do digital first, and then do the double dip Blu-ray. I'll do that second, but it will be my first Blu-ray if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
VHS. So.
I'm kind of holding off on all purchases until they actually start selling 4K stuff digitally.
Okay.
Which is really annoying me because I'm desperate to get a 4K TV. I refuse to buy a 4K TV if there's nothing to play on it. It really
you said all
me.
Purchases.
Oh yeah, everything. I'm going to be dead in how long can you live without food?
3 days.
A couple of days.
3 days without water.
Water,
well, I'll be around at weekends to empty your house out.
Why do you all want to kill me? I don't understand. It's nasty.
You've decided you're doing the boycott.
Yeah, you're going out and telling me where not to eat.
You can eat wherever you want. I don't mind.
What are you talking about?
I think he's having conversations with his other personalities.
You can go to a steak buffet for all I care, Steve.
Oh, that sounds great.
You don't care.
Right. I know.
Mark will come back with an enlarged prostate from America.
Steve,
or whatever it is, it gets bigger.
What do you think this round table entails?
Steve, you won't be picking up
a very large bottle in the middle.
You won't be picking up Rogue One then, Steve. He says, trying to pull the show back on the tracks.
If it was on 4K and it wasn't ridiculously priced, because they always are, then I would.
It didn't even get 4K theatrical release, though, Steve. So.
I find it very hard to understand how they're going to make 4K work if A, there's no media, and B, it's ridiculously expensive.
Are you going to buy the Rogue One DVDs?
Yeah.
Oh.
And Paul, you're going to hold out for the hipsters tape,
the gramophone conversion,
the wax cylinder of Rogue One.
Yes.
What's the thing in?
Remember the little Fisher Price one with the twinkly little bars that moved.
When it comes to doing the feature cons for this, is going to be a challenge, isn't it?
I have a DVD player. I'll buy the DVD.
What's the thing that breaks in the vial at the end of the Tom Hanks movie? What's that thing called?
A tangent?
No, it is a tangent. The little cylinder that's got acid in it.
Oh, a Cryptex or...
something
Codex,
like that.
The Codex.
Codex.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to watch it on one of those. God, it really didn't work, that joke, 6 hours after it was required.
Rogue One is coming home, and I can't wait. I'm going to definitely pick this up in iTunes, and then I'll swing back around and pick up the inevitable 3D Blu-ray.
Please.
That won't happen, Paul. They'll put some deleted scenes out, but there won't be an alternate cut. They won't.
Yeah, they won't.
They won't risk it
because it's too contrary to the original. No, not just extra bits.
We've seen the original. We're happy. Let's enjoy the other cut.
All right, Mark.
Yes.
Tangent time. You say 3D, but two of the biggest studios dropped 3D completely now.
I have no idea. Have they?
They have, yeah. two of the biggest studios. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. Two of the biggest TV manufacturers, Samsung and I guess Sony, are not making any more 3D TVs.
Wow, that is quite bold.
I will drop the link into the Scooby on the Cha-Cha.
Let's get to The Last Jedi. So, as always, potential spoilers here. I heard this on MakingStarWars.net. Now this is podcasting this week.
Okay.
Finn is reported to be in a First Order's officer's uniform at some point in the movie, which is tying together two separate rumours that came out through MakingStarWars.net. One of them involved Tom Hardy. Do you remember a rumour about a potential cameo from Tom Hardy where he plays?
He was going to be doing
he'd walk up, slap him on the bum. He was going to walk up, slap him on the bum, and go, "Hello, mate."
Yeah, and congratulates him on his promotion. And at the time, everyone assumed that was just Finn, and he was congratulating him for being some sort of spy and infiltrating the Resistance.
Yeah.
Well, now
maybe they knew each other or something. Yeah.
MSW are tying that rumour to this one, saying it makes more sense if Tom Hardy does have a cameo, that the cameo would involve this scene of Tom Hardy slapping Finn on the butt and saying congratulations on your promotion if Finn's in an officer's uniform. It kind of makes more sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I quite like this idea, and I really like the idea of Tom Hardy cameo. But what about Finn undercover? Well,
we've seen undercover people in uniforms in Rogue One.
They've done it a lot.
They've already set the precedent, haven't they?
Maybe he goes back.
A rescue mission could go back. He definitely could go back.
Screw
Could
my
also go back.
conscience. Had a good life over there. Salary was good. Nice living conditions.
That would really throw a cat amongst pigeons, wouldn't it? If Finn runs back with his tail between his legs.
Oh my God!
Oh, here we go.
Somebody's put A New Hope in the poll.
Really?
What is going on?
Someone's willing to delete Rogue One. A New Hope.
Yeah, someone has.
OT haters are a new thing.
That was enough to stop the cast.
Did you hear the brakes? I should put a brakes sound effect in. All right.
Can you track this?
That's the only thing we've got on Last Jedi this week, which is still such a cool title. I'm so keen on that. So the last bit of news for the week before we wrap up is the big one as well. So 1 week after they announced The Last Jedi, Lucasfilm announced the beginning of principal photography on the Han Solo movie. So Phil Lord and Chris Miller's Han Solo movie started filming, and the image, which you can see in the show notes that was tweeted out, it's also the cover art on this week's episode, was a clapperboard showing take one on a scene being shot for Red Cup, which is the working title for the Han Solo film.
Yep.
And it also had the actual body of the joke. The body of the tweet was a joke, which was Han's first shot. Play on the Han shot very first good. Campaign. How exciting is this on a scale of 1 to a billion?
684 million.
That's very specific.
366,102.
Why the Red Cup thing?
104.
I did try and Google it. I know it's Greedo and Han, but I didn't get it.
It's not. It's not. It's
who shot first?
It's the sippy cup thing, isn't it? I'll say.
That's right. Yeah, it's. I knew you would ask, Steve, and there's a lot of people that won't. There's a lot of people that won't know.
Well, it's the who shot first thing, isn't it? But I didn't get the correlation.
No, it's not. It's actually the reference is quite clever. It's in the US. There's a brand of disposable cup, a plastic cup, that is red on the outside and white on the inside, and it's called the Solo Cup. That's the actual brand. So that's what this is based on. I think I can't really see. It's not very clear in this image, but it looks like the
they've managed to make their sales go up, haven't they?
Well, Solo Cup. Yeah, I think they're a pretty legendary brand. But look at that font used in that title. I had sort of mentioned it earlier on, but that sort of looks like a Western theme. It definitely has like a Western theme.
Yeah, I never really noticed that. That's quite funny.
And I think that's what this film is going to be, to be honest. I've heard a lot of people, Jason at Making Star Wars, saying that he felt this movie was going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy of Star Wars movies.
Okay.
which to me sounds fantastic because that's a brilliant, brilliant film.
I'm kind of thinking indie, personally. Indiana Jones kind of undertones to it.
I would love a bit of that as well. A little bit of Firefly wouldn't go amiss.
Why can't it be like Star Wars?
Well, it will be. It will be Star Wars.
Yeah.
But they do need to broaden their horizons. They can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know.
See, this is the whole problem for me. I want them to go back. From the first 3 films, they've moved further and further away from that every time they brought a film out. Why do we need to keep? Why can't we go back? Because that's what everyone misses, isn't it?
Well, they might end up doing a bit of that between trilogies if they delve into time after Return of the Jedi.
Don't forget, it's another standalone.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean
there is that.
The time of that or between the films. I mean the feeling of the film. Why are they always trying to go in at a new angle and create this a bit different? Because people aren't bored with Star Wars the way it used to be. It's just never been like that again. Do you see what I mean? Like if they made a film that was truly felt like Return of the Jedi or Empire or A New Hope. That's my order of preference, by the way.
Okay.
That I would be like, oh my God, like this is Star Wars. But they're always trying to reinvent the wheel, aren't they? And going, all right, let's make it a bit like Guardians of the Galaxy. That did well. Again, it's the meddling thing, isn't it? It's my whole point.
It's your only point, Steve.
That could be the writers.
It is. You're right.
That is necessarily
my only point.
You know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but like this is the point. This is the dark side. I'm going to draw a line under it. Dark side moment.
Paul, what's your feelings about this project?
What it's going to be?
Yeah, in general, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, of course I am. I hope it's got some swagger to it, to be honest. But I'm complete opposite to everybody with the casting. I'm not seeing the casting of Han, but I'm totally seeing the casting of what's his name? Glover.
Donald Glover as Lando.
Donald Glover. Yeah. So but I don't know. I don't want it to be too much of a Western. I don't want it to be too much of a pirate film. I don't want it to be too much of an intergalactic war. But it's going to be, I think, to a degree, whether we like it or not. That's the thing. I don't mind if they go a little bit. You're not going to get. It's not going to be a character film because it's a one-off. So I think it's going to be a bit of an all guns blazing cantinas.
Well, not necessarily. We know there's a strong rumor that he's signed on for 3 films. Now, that's not to say that there'll be a trilogy of films in the same story arc, but there's no reason why they can't do a bit of character film and then bring him in as a strong presence in something else, like a Lando movie or.
It's not uncommon for performers to sign multi-pitch deals anyway. Which is.
They're selling this as Han Solo movie, right?
The film companies give themselves options when they lock people into these, or when they put them into these multi-pitch deals, right?
But at the same time, if they're pitching this as a standalone movie, then the give us a standalone movie. I don't want to go to this saying, "Oh, I've got to wait for part 2 now."
I don't think you will. I think they'll be. I think the idea of them being standalone movies is, they'll be done. The story will close at the end of this
That's
this
what
movie.
I'm looking forward to.
But you'll have the option to
ongoing.
You'll have the option to see this world again and this time frame again and some of these people again. But it might be that in the next movie, I think, Rob, I might be stealing your thunder here, but it might be Lando's picture and Han's just character in it.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible, and I'd be fine with that.
And this might introduce, this might set up.
Interesting.
I think that the Empire will probably just be the backdrop of this movie. Like there'll be a presence in there.
Slightly pre-Rogue One, this surely.
I think it's probably
10 years before.
10 years before.
It's in that region, I think.
Yeah, 8 or 10 years before, depending on the age of Han in A New Hope.
12 past 6 before.
12 past 6 before, and then you get to see we'll meet the Hutts, we'll meet the gangsters, we'll meet that world, and you might be able to spin some other characters out of it. So.
Jabba will be a worm.
You might, just be a little worm at 10 years prior. He might be really slender, mightn't he?
Might be, yeah.
You just don't know.
And you just see Han saying, "Lay off the cakes, mate," and he's like, "I'll do what I want, thank you very much."
Yeah. Han might become like our Tony Stark, who sets up these other characters and moves in and out of these stories as they are released.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, like he did in Incredible Hulk. He's done in Spider-Man. It could be that kind of dynamic.
I'm looking forward to Donny Glover more than anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it'd be great.
Awesome. Well, I'm really into this as well. I think it looks fantastic, and I'm very excited to see what.
What have these directors done apart from Lego?
They did 21 and 22 Jump Street films.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And they produced the Last Man on Earth TV series, which is hilarious. They definitely know their humour, and they've definitely been brought in.
Right, we're lining up a light film, then, are we?
Oh, for sure.
I think this is going to be a light-hearted film.
It's going to be a romp.
It's not going to be.
Laugh at itself a little bit.
It's not going to be Rogue One.
Okay,
No, not at all.
I wasn't aware of that.
Nor would we want. To be honest, I think nor would we want that from a standalone over and over again, just pummeling us into submission with sadness.
No.
It's not what we want.
Is Red Cup possibly an anagram for anything at all? I'm looking at it. It can't be, can it?
No.
I don't know. There's not enough letters, I don't think.
Crud.
Nice.
Oh my God, the writing was on the wall from the start.
P-Crude.
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 That's what our next podcast is going to be called.
It's Han Solo's gangster rap name, spoiled ahead of time.
The P-Crude.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this thing up then. Has everyone said what they needed to say about the Han Solo film?
Yes, I have one thing I want to just one really quick thing I want to append.
Please do.
It's just something that's interesting. I don't know if it means anything necessarily yet.
If you say that, it really has to be.
It's curious and it could be interesting. How's that? So, are you familiar with the iOS and Android game Galaxy of Heroes?
No.
Okay, so it's a Star Wars based iOS game and it's on Android as well. And it's basically an arena fighter. You build a team of Star Wars characters and you place them in versus against a team of another player's choosing. So they've just announced. So historically, all the characters that have been included in it have been characters from old canon. So not to say legends, this is to say proper canon, but sort of things like Clone Wars characters.
Oh yeah.
They've just started putting Rogue One characters in. There's no sign of the Rebels cast yet, but I think there is also a Rebels game on phones, so maybe that's why. They've just announced a character called Darth Nihilus, who was up until that point has always been Legends. He's from Knights of the Old Republic 2. And he was a Sith Lord who could feed off the Force energy of others to replenish his strength.
Oh.
It's not to suggest that anything is not necessarily related to anything in terms of, could he be, it's not my new Snoke theory or anything like that. I still maintain that it's two Neimoidians in a long coat. But I'm curious to see whether it's going to introduce him back into canon somewhere. So maybe maybe he might be referenced in Rebels the same way Darth Bane was, or something along those lines.
Right. Okay.
So I'm kind of very intrigued at the moment as to what that could mean, if anything. So I just wanted to add that in case if anybody else goes on to speculate on it somewhere else, I've mentioned it first.
It's on the permanent record.
Having some of that. Yeah, exactly. Pending an edit.
Yeah.
Next week, Mark will go, I'll tell you what, guys, I just heard this thing about this guy, Darth Nihilus.
I've had this great theory. That sounds good. I don't really go in for those games, but
yeah, I've gone off it increasingly recently just because I'm playing a little bit of I'm trying to play other games just to kind of see if there's anything else that's up my street as well. Mm-hmm. But that's I just saw it on the announcements that he's coming into the game, and I thought, I wonder if that's interesting. I wonder if that's going to be in any way relevant to the larger universe as to whether he's coming back into canon somewhere. So we'll see.
It'd be interesting if that's how they sneak that little piece of information out, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be very interesting if he turns up somewhere else. Yeah, exactly. I don't think anybody else has been introduced into the game that way or into the universe through the game.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep a close eye on that one.
Indeed.
Right. Okay, let's wrap this one up here then. Thanks very much for listening to Talk Star Wars again this week. And don't forget to leave us that 5-star review like Matt did. And we will read whatever crazy thing you write in there, or at least Rob will. You can also email us your questions and comments at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com or reach out to us on one of our many social channels like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, to name but a few. And with that said, guys, where can people find you between episodes?
I'm on Wild About Nature on Twitter and YouTube, or Stephen_Ware on Twitter if you can't find me the other way.
Paul?
Movie School News.
Short but sweet.
In various places. Just Google it and you'll find me.
Okay. Rob?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, and I have a secondary account which ties to a blog, emotionally14.com. There's podcasts, YouTube, very occasional blog posts, but mostly podcasts and YouTube. But it's a good fun, and everybody should enjoy it. Get on board.
Indeed.
Did you say that in Italian at the end?
No.
It's a good fun.
No.
Oh, okay.
Because it might be interpreted to be
Sicilian.
slightly
Well, no,
racially insensitive.
to be fair, we talk about video games, so I could have done it in a Mario voice, I guess. It's a good fun. Oh.
And you can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk, and I'm on Twitter at talkstarwars. Don't forget to head to starwarscommonwealth.com and check out the rest of the shows on the network, such as our good friends at Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, the Rogue Squadron podcast, who are approaching 100 episodes themselves, the Skyhoppers podcast, and the Nerd Room. The Nerd Room this week released their first Marvel, the MCU retrospective they're doing. Their first episode was Iron Man. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it very much.
Love the Commonwealth.
Everyone at the Commonwealth is doing good work. You can find links to them in the show notes or head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com. That's us done for this show that I thought was going to be short, but it's still an hour and 40 minutes long. We will see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Just making a time code.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm still at my dinner.
That's all right, mate.
Did you see the picture for Twitter, Mark?
No, I'm not going to send it now, Steve, because I didn't do it at the top. Or maybe I'll send it in a minute.
Well, you should really, because I've just spent like 10 minutes making a perfect rendition of Paul, and I think it is perfect.
It is. It's quite something.
Should have used Loba.
It is very, very good. You should be proud.
It is quite something.
It's almost identical.
It definitely.
I keep thinking he's in the room.
It's like Gollum giving you the finger.
Okay.
We hate him. He hates us.
I'm going to mute for a few more minutes.
At Stephen.
Did Paul say he's going to the dentist?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got it's a new dental thing. They make you have a full meal before you go now. Just to get an idea of, Oh, nice. Oh, I think, did you put a picture up? So he did.
He's only bleeding done it.
He's only gone and blown the bloody doors off. His pizza.
I can't see it. Why can I never see the things you put in?
Because you don't look at the chat.
Because you're laying down.
You're also in tablet view, which I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right, are we ready? Because we'll jump straight back into Kyle's voicemail. Right, so that takes us up to 35.
A very good one, Rob.
35.
Hey, it's in there.
Yes.
Right, ready?
Yes.